Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. This is where we take the time to really unpack complex ideas, look at the research, and pull out the most valuable insights for you. And we really do appreciate the messages you send in. We got one recently actually highlighting how much value there is in books and continuous learning. That sentiment, that
Yeah.
drive to understand, that's exactly what we try to do here. Take that wisdom and make it sharp, make it actionable. So today we're shifting gears a bit. We're moving away from the purely technical side of finance, the algorithms, the market forecasts. Instead, we're diving deep into the psychology of money. We're
Mhm.
looking at the core ideas from a really influential summary, The Psychology of Money. And the central idea, the thesis really is that financial success, it's less about what you know your IQ and much more about how you behave. The source material basically throws down a challenge. If you want lasting success with money, you need to spend way more time understanding yourself, your impulses, your biases, your emotions, than you do on complex financial models. It's an inside game.
That's exactly right. And our goal for this deep dive is, well, to give you that essential framework, to help you manage the most unpredictable piece of the puzzle,
Hmm.
yourself. We're not talking about squeezing out an extra 0.5% return here. We're talking about avoiding those huge uh, behavioral mistakes, the ones driven by fear or maybe greed, mistakes that can honestly just wipe out years, even decades of hard work.
Right.
So we're dissecting those invisible drivers, things like patience, discipline, um, emotional control. These are the things that really decide if you succeed or fail long before you even look at a spreadsheet. They're what separate people who are consistently building wealth from those who, just earn a lot.
Okay, let's jump right into that because the very first distinction the source makes, it kind of changes everything. It says we need to stop using rich and wealthy, like they mean the same thing. So, what's the difference we need to grasp here?
It's simple, but really profound, like you said. Being rich, that's about high current income.
Okay.
It's easy to see, easy to measure, big paycheck, maybe a fancy car, expensive house. It's visible through spending, through consumption.
Right, the lifestyle stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
But being wealthy, that's the real goal. Wealth is about having freedom. It's about having options, having a safety net. And crucially, it's about having control over your time. That's the ultimate prize. Wealth lets you choose how you live, how you work, or if you work, because you've built up those reserves.
Okay, so wealthy is freedom, rich is income.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And this leads straight to the visibility paradox. Our society, well, it celebrates being rich, doesn't it? The flashy spending.
Mm-hmm.
But true wealth, it's almost always invisible.
Invisible, how so?
Because wealth is what you don't spend.
Yeah.
It's the money you saved and invested that's quietly growing in the background. It's the assets that aren't converted into flashy consumer goods.
So if I see someone driving like a really expensive car, my first thought might be, wow, they're loaded.
Right. That's the trap. You see the car,
Mm.
which means they had the income to buy it that makes them rich in that moment. But that car is money spent. It's capital that's now probably going down in value, their actual wealth, the money they didn't spend, the stuff that's compounding. You have no idea. It could be zero. It could be huge. It's invisible.
That really flips the script.
It does. Think about it. Person A earns a ton, leases the fanciest car, biggest house possible, spends nearly everything, looks very rich.
Yeah.
Person B earns a good, solid income, but drives an older car, lives modestly, saves and invests, say, 30% consistently. Person B doesn't look rich.
But person B is the one building wealth.
Precisely. Person B is building that invisible cushion, that freedom fund. Person A's richness is visible, but potentially fragile. Equating spending with security as well, it's a fundamental mistake if wealth is your goal.
So the real aim isn't just boosting the income number, it's boosting that unseen reserve that gives you options. It sets a totally different target.
Absolutely, and it takes the pressure off.
Ah.
You don't need to keep up appearances. The real benefit of wealth is internal. It's that peace of mind, that
Right.
security.
That internal focus brings us right to the core thesis, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Key idea two. Financial success depends way more on your behavior, your temperament, than just raw intelligence or fancy calculations.
Mhm.
We tend to think the smartest people, the math whizzes, should be the best with money. But the source says, no, it's actually things like patience, discipline, and keeping greed in check. Those are the key ingredients.
It's so important. It means financial success isn't just for, like, the finance PhDs. Anyone can achieve amazing results if they master their own behavior. And, it also explains why you sometimes see incredibly smart people make terrible financial decisions. The financially wrecked geniuses phenomenon.
Right. How does that happen?
Well, think about someone super intelligent, maybe great at analyzing markets. They understand all the complexities. But
Huh.
if they don't have emotional discipline,
Oh,
if they panic sell when the market dips,
yeah.
or get way too aggressive and take wild risks when things are going well, their behavior completely undermines their intellect. They basically outsmart themselves into losing money.
So the market drops 30%, their brain says buy low, but their gut screams get out, and they sell.
Exactly. Fear takes over. They might even use their intelligence to create very convincing reasons why selling now is the smart move, but it's really just emotion driving the bus.
Okay.
Now, contrast that with maybe an average investor, someone who just uses simple diversified funds, puts money in regularly month after month, and just waits, doesn't panic, doesn't chase hot tips.
A boring approach.
The boring, disciplined approach. Their success comes purely from consistency. They just keep adding fuel to that compounding engine, ignore the noise, and critically, they avoid the big behavioral blowups.
So the book's main point really is that handling money is more of a soft skill, like managing yourself.
Absolutely. It's less about complex spreadsheets and much more about mastering your own psychology, particularly those two big enemies, greed and fear.
Greed pushes you to take risks you don't need.
Right. When things are good, greed whispers, this isn't enough. Go for more. Take a bigger gamble, even if you've already won the game, essentially.
And fear.
Fear makes you abandon a perfectly good long-term plan because of short-term panic. Headlines scream crash, and fear makes you sell at the bottom, locking in losses, interrupting that compounding.
It's ironic, isn't it? People want security, but then greed or fear makes them do things that create insecurity.
Totally. The disciplined investor, the one focused on process over outcome, they build a kind of emotional buffer. They're less swayed by the daily ups and downs. It's about the long game.
Maintaining that calm when everyone else is freaking out. That sounds like the hardest part.
It often is. But it's where the real advantage lies.
Okay, so if discipline and consistency are the actions we need, then key idea 3, compounding, is like the incredible reward for taking those actions.
It's the magic, really.
It's more than just math, earning returns on returns. The source emphasizes the behavioral side. It's this exponential force that takes small, steady efforts and makes them huge over time.
Yeah, think of it less like finding buried treasure and more like planting a tiny sapling. You water it consistently, protect it, don't dig it up, and you just wait.
For a long time.
For a very long time. The first few years, growth is slow, maybe barely noticeable, it's not exciting. But after 20, 30, 40 years, that oak tree is massive. The growth in later years dwarfs everything that came before.
So the key behavioral thing is time.
Time. And the behavior that unlocks time is staying invested, just letting the process work. It requires, honestly, enormous patience, and often the hardest part is doing nothing.
Resisting the urge to tinker, to react.
Exactly, which connects right back to the key idea too, behavior. Compounding is what happens when patience and consistency meet time. The person who wins isn't necessarily the one chasing the absolute highest return this year.
Because that often involves huge risks or complexity.
Right, and it's hard to stick with. The winner is often the person who gets a decent solid return, maybe like 7 or 8%, but does it consistently for 30 or 40 years without interruption.
But our brains aren't wired for that, are they? We want results now.
Totally. We crave immediate feedback. You invest $1,000, it makes $70 in a year. Emotionally, that feels kind of meh. Your brain goes, I waited a whole year for that?
Yeah, buying something flashy gives you instant gratification.
Precisely. So the challenge is sticking with the boring plan when the immediate rewards are tiny or even negative some years. You have to truly believe in that future payoff, that massive oak tree you can't see yet.
And ignore the noise, the recession fears, the friend telling you about some crypto coin that's going to the moon.
That's the discipline. Refusing to derail the long-term compounding process for short-term excitement or fear, that inactivity, paradoxically, becomes the most important action.
There's that famous example, isn't there? Someone starts saving early for 10 years and stops, versus someone starting later but saving for 30 years.
Yeah, it illustrates the power of time perfectly. The person who starts at 25, invests consistently for just 10 years, and then stops adding money but leaves it invested, often ends up with more money by age 65 than someone who starts at 35 and invests the same amount every month for 30 straight years.
Wow, just because those early dollars had so much longer to compound.
Exactly. Time is the most powerful multiplier. So the takeaway for you, the listener, isn't about finding the absolute highest possible return, because those often come with volatility that makes you bail.
Right.
The key is finding a good, reliable return that you can actually stick with, behaviorally, for the longest possible time.
Mm.
Consistency over intensity.
Okay, so we need discipline, patience, long-term thinking. But the source also says we need a dose of humility. Key idea 4, acknowledging the roles of luck and risk.
Crucial point.
It's not all about our perfect behavior, is it? The world throws curveballs. Success stories often leave out the lucky breaks.
Absolutely. We love the narrative of the self-made person who did it all through sheer grit and genius. And those things matter hugely. But timing matters too.
Right.
Like maybe you started a business just as a huge wave of demand hit, or you happen to invest during a massive bull run, or even just being born in a stable country with good opportunities. That's luck. It doesn't diminish the effort, but pretending it doesn't exist is, well, dangerous.
Why dangerous?
Because if luck can give you a huge unexpected boost, then its opposite, risk, can deliver a huge unexpected blow. Risk is the random event, the black swan, the market crash, the pandemic, a personal health crisis, something that can derail everything, no matter how disciplined you've been.
So acknowledging luck makes you more aware of risk.
Exactly. If you know some of your success was just being in the right place at the right time, you're less likely to get complacent.
Yeah.
You realize things could easily have gone the other way, so you plan for things going wrong.
I guess the riskiest time is right after you've had a big win, especially if luck played a part.
That's classic attribution bias, yeah. You attribute 100% of the success to your own brilliance, you ignore the lucky timing, and you start thinking you're invincible.
And then you take bigger risks.
Much bigger, often unnecessary risks. Because you think you can't lose. You forget about survivorship bias, too. We only hear about the one person who took a crazy gamble and it paid off massively. We don't hear about the 99 others who took the same gamble and got wiped out.
Right. We don't see the failures.
So the practical takeaway. Recognizing that randomness plays a role should change how much risk you take, especially with money you can't afford to lose. If you've already built a good thing, if that compounding engine is working,
Your focus shifts.
it has to. It shifts from maximizing returns at all costs to maximizing survival, ensuring you can stay in the game.
So you need defenses against bad luck.
Precisely. You can't eliminate risk that would mean zero return, but you manage it. You specifically guard against the tail risk, the low probability but catastrophic event. You make sure that if the worst happens, it hurts, but it doesn't knock you out of the game entirely. It doesn't destroy decades of compounding. That's financial humility in action. You budget for failure, in a way.
That idea of survival, of building resilience, leads really nicely into key idea 5, which is about why we save. And the source has a powerful take: save for flexibility.
Yeah, this one really resonates.
It's not just saving for retirement way off in the future or for a down payment. It's about something more immediate, more valuable.
It's about control. The source argues that the highest purpose of saving money is buying control over your own life. Money buys freedom, it buys options, it reduces stress today. That pile of savings isn't just deferred spending, it's a pile of potential choices.
So if wealth is freedom, savings is the cash you use to buy that freedom.
Exactly. Think of your savings, your emergency fund, not just as money, but as optionality insurance. It's the buffer against that bad luck, that risk we just talked about.
Give me an example.
Okay, imagine someone hates their job. Toxic boss, awful commute, just miserable. If they have no savings, they're trapped, right? They have to stick it out because they need that next paycheck.
Yeah, paycheck to paycheck, horrible feeling.
But if they've built up, say, 6 months or a year's worth of expenses and savings, suddenly they have options. They have control.
They can just walk away.
They can walk away.
Yeah.
They can quit without having another job lined up immediately. They can take time to find something better, maybe retrain, maybe just decompress. That savings didn't buy them a fancy gadget. It bought them escape. It bought them the power to change their life.
That control over your time, your circumstances, that sounds like the real luxury.
It absolutely is. The source suggests the greatest thing money can buy is the ability to wake up and say, I could do whatever I want today. That peace of mind, knowing you're not one crisis away from disaster, that's invaluable. Way more valuable than another zero in the account, arguably.
And how does this loop back to behavior?
Oh, directly. When you reduce financial stress and having savings, does that massively? You improve your decision-making.
How so?
Stressed people tend to make short-sighted, panicked decisions. They're in survival mode. But when you have that buffer, that financial peace, you can think clearly. You can make calm, rational, long-term choices, which reinforces the good behavior needed for compounding. It's a virtuous cycle.
So saving isn't just about putting money away for later. It's almost like an active investment in your mental well-being now.
That's a great way to put it. You're saving for future psychological peace and control, not just a future thing you want to buy. That reframes the whole act of saving, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Makes it feel less like deprivation and more like empowerment.
Yeah, definitely an aha moment there. Moving from thinking about stuff to thinking about freedom. Okay, so if the goal is freedom, control, psychological peace, that leads straight into what might be the trickiest behavioral challenge. Key idea 6, the need to actually define enough.
Ah, yes. The moving goalpost problem.
Exactly. The source is really blunt about this. Chasing more and more wealth just for the sake of it, it's a trap. It leads to greed, which makes you take bigger and bigger risks, often jeopardizing the very security you've already built.
We see it all the time, don't we? People who have way more money than they could ever possibly need, tens, hundreds of millions, still taking reckless chances to get even more. Why?
Because they haven't defined enough.
Precisely. Their internal goalpost keeps shifting upwards. If you don't consciously decide what enough looks like for you, society, or your ego will decide for you. And that benchmark is always more than the next guy.
Social comparison. Keeping up with the Joneses, but on an epic scale.
Exactly. You start measuring yourself against people with private jets, even if you don't want or need a private jet. It's a game you literally cannot win because there's always someone richer. And playing that game forces you to take risks that are completely out of proportion to any real need you have.
The source basically says knowing when to stop chasing is critical to keeping what you've built.
It's maybe the most critical thing.
Yeah.
Because greed directly attacks everything else we've talked about. It makes you impatient, undermining compounding, key idea 3. It makes you take stupid risks, ignoring risk management, key idea 4. And it makes you discount the value of the freedom your savings have already bought you, key idea 5.
So how do you define enough if it's not just a dollar figure tied to impressing others?
You tie it back to that core goal, freedom and control. Enough is the point where your assets or passive income reliably cover your reasonable lifestyle expenses, indefinitely, insulating you from needing to work for money you don't enjoy and protecting you from foreseeable risks.
So it's about security and independence, not just accumulation.
Exactly. Once you reach that point, true financial independence, true wealth, by our earlier definition, the marginal utility of the next $1 million drops dramatically.
Meaning getting more money adds very little actual happiness or freedom compared to what it costs to get it.
Right. If earning that next $1 million requires more stress, more hours away from family, taking on significant new risks, you're actually trading away the very freedom and peace of mind you work so hard to achieve. It's a bad trade.
So defining enough isn't about settling for less. It's about recognizing when you've won the game.
It's about protecting your win. It's financial maturity. It's saying, okay, I have what I need for security and freedom. Now I can optimize for other things, time, relationships, health, contribution. It's knowing when to get off the treadmill.
All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've got rich versus wealthy, behavior over brains, compounding, luck and risk, saving for freedom, defining enough. The final piece, key idea 7, is the mindset that enables all of this. Long-term thinking.
The glue that holds it together.
Building wealth, according to the source, just fundamentally requires resisting all the short-term noise and distractions. You have to stay consistent, not panic during downturns, and really think in terms of decades, not days or months.
That's so counter to how everything operates today, isn't it? Financial news, social media, it's all about the immediate. What happened today, this hour? It generates panic, FOMO, constant pressure to do something.
Yeah, react, react, react.
But if you're trying to time the market, reacting to every wiggle, you're playing a losing game. It's stressful. It's impossible to do consistently well. The long-term thinker, the one focused on decades, they shift their focus completely.
To what?
To consistently accumulating good assets and consistently managing their own behavior. They accept that volatility, those downturns, are just the entry fee you pay for the long-term returns that compounding provides. It's part of the deal.
So let's recap that core loop one last time. It's the consistent behavior, key idea 2.
Yep. Patience, discipline.
Applied over a long period of time, key idea 3. To let compounding work.
Decades, not years.
To achieve the ultimate goal of freedom and control, key idea 1.
That's the formula. And long-term thinking is what allows you to stick to that formula when things get scary or boring. If the market drops 15% this quarter, and you're thinking in quarters, you panic.
Right.
But if you zoom out, look at a 20-year chart, you see that 15% drop is just a blip, a normal, expected part of the journey towards that long-term upward trend. Thinking in decades provides that perspective, that resilience.
It takes the emotional sting out of the downturns, makes them seem less like personal failures and more like weather.
Exactly. They're just part of the climate you're operating in.
Mm-hmm.
So the final synthesis for you, the listener, is this. Real wealth isn't just the number in your account. It's freedom. It's security. It's peace of mind. And the path there isn't primarily about stock picks or economic forecasts. It's about behavioral discipline, consistently applied over a very long time. It's about managing yourself, understanding risk and luck, and knowing what enough truly means for you. It's an internal journey first. Hashtag Outro and Verge.
So this deep dive really flips the script on what financial literacy means, doesn't it? It shifts the focus from trying to master the external chaos of the market
Which is impossible.
to mastering your own internal world, your habits, your patience, your emotional triggers. And when you embrace that, when you focus on what you can control yourself, you gain this incredible sustainable advantage. You're playing a different, much more winnable game.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with a final thought to chew on, building on this idea that true wealth is often invisible. It's what you don't spend. And its main purpose is buying back your time and control. Ask yourself this: if financial freedom is your ultimate goal, what specific expenses in your life right now, maybe things you think are necessary, are actually pushing that goal further away? What's the true cost of those choices? Not just in dollars, but in years of lost compounding, in lost optionality. Thinking about that, really examining those trade-offs, that might offer a very clear lens as you continue on your own journey of learning and building wealth. We hope this dive gave you some valuable tools for that journey.